This is from the Texas Secretary of State, and this is pertaining to those anomalous voter registrations with no IDs. Now, something doesn't make sense, and I figured this would be the case. But for those that aren't familiar, we have something called the Help America Vote verification system, which shows for the week ending March 30th that Texas had 225,132 registration verification requests. 30,000 had no match. 190,193 provided a match. These are new registration applications according to the Social Security Administration. I want to make sure everybody has the full context here, so I will pull up what is HAVV. They say, to comply with the law, they developed a verification system. States must only submit a request to us for new voters who do not present a valid driver's license during the voter registration process. Now, we have a statement from Texas. The reporting going around was that 1.25 million people had attempted to register in Texas without an ID. Many of them were verified in the Social Security Administration database. What they say, this is from Jane Nelson, Secretary of State. There have been recent and inaccurate reports about the voter registration process and ID requirements in Texas. Please see the statement from Secretary of State Jane Nelson below. Quote, "It is totally inaccurate that 1.2 million voters have registered to vote in Texas without a photo ID this year. The truth is our voter rolls have increased by 57,711 voters since the beginning of 2024. This is less than the number of people registered in the same time frame in 2022, which was about 65,000, and in 2020, which was 104,000. When Texans register to vote, they must provide a driver's license or a social security number. When an individual registers to vote with just a social security number, the state verifies that the SSN is authentic. While federal law allows individuals to register to vote without a photo ID, Texans must actually show proof of ID to vote. The 1.2 million figure comes from the Social Security Administration website, which is supposed to report the number of times states have asked to verify an individual's social security number. The SSA number is clearly incorrect, and we're working now to determine why there is such a large discrepancy." So this is where things get very interesting. Why is there a discrepancy every single time? Why is the Social Security Administration reporting over and over again, every 2 weeks, that Texas has 250,000 people trying to register? Could it be that there is a shadow campaign that Texas is even unaware of?
Yes, it could be. Yes, that is exactly what I think is
And
happening.
Texas is going, we haven't asked for these verifications. This proves it's false. And whatever's actually going on is that it's not going through Texas. It's going around Texas. Yeah. So let me just say right now, we don't know why the Social Security Administration is claiming every 2 weeks 250,000 people register to vote in Texas. So I think that clearly puts it well above 1.2 million. And so we showed March 30th. Now we have March 16th. March 16th, Texas, 227,000. 30,000 got kicked back. 192,000 were found to have matches. 4,570 something were dead. Let's go back another 2 weeks, because Texas only reports apparently every 2 weeks, or the number only appears every 2 weeks. Here we have now with, where's Texas? 224,569. 189,000 were found to have matches. Let's go back another 2 weeks, which would bring us to February 17th. Oh, this is the one where you get Missouri. Where's Missouri at? There we go. With 23,000 dead people trying to register to vote. How does that happen?
Oh my gosh.
That one's interesting,
That's
right?
a third of the people. That's crazy.
Then we have Texas with 219,000, 170,000 found to be matches. These are all clearly distinct numbers. Now, just to show you, if I go back to March 23rd, it's they don't have Texas. Texas only appears every other week. You can see most other places don't have these kinds of numbers.
What if you go back further, like back into the last year too? I want to see these.
Yeah, we've done all that. Pick a year, pick a date.
Okay. Something like 2022. Can you go back that far?
Yes, we can.
What was voter registration like in 2022 in Texas? And I get it, we're coming up on an
You got to
election.
give me a month.
Yeah, March 20th. March
26, 2022?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
All right, let's see if this is one of the reporting weeks for it.
A couple of years ago.
It is. Texas had 15,000.
15.
In the same time period, 2 years ago, 15,000. Okay, fine. Texas says, no, this is clearly a mistake. It's clearly a mistake. Okay, how is the Social Security Administration every 2 weeks reporting this massive number? Okay, fine. They hired a new intern, and he's typing in the wrong numbers, I guess.
No. I mean, I'm glad you said that, but obviously that would be very unlikely. That happened three times in a row.
Or Maybe. Shadow campaign.
Yeah, maybe they're. So you're thinking they're signing them, and then it just goes around Texas, like they go through the Texas state for the registration, but then the paperwork just goes to the Social Security Administration.
It's not actually Texas requesting the verifications. It's someone masquerading as Texas to the Social Security Administration. Perhaps the issue is to find voters. Maybe the real issue here is to figure out who's dead, who's alive, and who can vote, and they're not real registrations.
Oh, and they're just looking for people to go ballot harvest later or something.
Yep.
Man, 3 weeks in a row of, or 6 weeks in a row of 250,000.
Oh, no, it's not 6 weeks in a row, bro. It goes all the way back.
So
Come on.
is it counting like 2 weeks? In 2 weeks, 250,000. So are we actually reading?
It may be.
Yeah, something like that.
So here we go.
125 weeks.
So this is February 3rd was not one of the reporting weeks. So we need to go to January 27th. And Texas, 125,000 with 100,000 matches found. So this was January 27th. Let's go back to January 13th to see Texas. And we've got 89,000. So it seems like the number is picking up.
It's ramping up.
So it may be around that number. And then that was the 13th. So then we would have to jump back to December 30th. And what do we have for Texas? 97,000.
So it's ramping up.
Ramping up substantially. Let's go back to December 16th and see what we get for Texas. 80,000. And here, we'll do a little sorting algorithm technique, and we'll jump back to, let's say, July 29th. I don't know if this is one of their reporting weeks. Let's see. It is 234,000.
That was a big week.
Yeah. 74,000 had no match. What is this? Texas is saying, this is clearly a mistake. I think that's overly simplistic. Like Pennsylvania had 94,000.
That's in Texas on that week. It was a fourth of them had no match.
July 29th, 2023, 250,000 people with no IDs were listed as registering to vote. How could the Social Security Administration falsely report this every other week for a year?
I just don't think.
And Texas has no idea what's going on.
I have no idea.
So Texas Attorney General should look at this, obviously. If they haven't, if you guys know the Texas Attorney General, send this to him. I don't know who he is or who they are, who she is. I don't know. They should know. Yeah, we should immediately. This should be in their hands. The FBI should immediately be involved in this. This is.
And they say you need an ID to vote. Does Texas have universal mail-in voting?
I don't know.
Yet. Research.
The Attorney General for Texas is Ken Paxton.
Ken Paxton, get on it, Matty.
There you go.
Let's find out about their mail-in voting. You can apply for a ballot by mail in the state of Texas. You have to be 65 years or older, sick or disabled, out of the country on election day, expected to give birth within 3 weeks, be confined to jail or otherwise eligible. And then you can submit online. I really doubt if this is some kind of manipulation that Texas is going to allow mass applications for mail-in voting, but I really just don't know. I certainly think you'd be naive to think there is no shadow campaign.
Yeah.
Look, there was a lot of effort put into the shadow campaign in 2020. They wrote up a whole piece about it. There was a bunch of people involved, and it's had to make sure that they reinforced the election and stuff. So if the idea that they wouldn't do it again is of course silly.
If we were just in a normal world, and I was like, one day I was like, what? I'd be really weirded out. But the influx of migrants into Texas, like I think that kind of correlates with what we're seeing in the numbers of people being registered. So I'm not saying that they're literally the ones being registered, but there's a correlation there. It's a lot more evidence that something nefarious is going on.
And it could be something going through Texas that the Secretary of State doesn't know about. Now, they said their voter rolls haven't increased by that much. Maybe there are Democrats working in Texas submitting registrations for verification, and they're trying to figure out who they can get, who isn't registered, and who's going to slip through the system. And it's coming from a local jurisdiction or something, and the Secretary of State doesn't know about it. People who haven't been added to the voter rolls because it has not yet been submitted to the state, and it's bypassed the state government.
And now they'll know who to register with the state. Now that they see who's alive.
To minimize errors and to make it look like make it look authentic. I think the one thing about this, I'm glad that it got picked up because Texas is now saying that it's an error is great. Because now any anomalous thing that we end up seeing in November, we can point back and say, hey, this was widely known about. And so there is now like, hey, start filing your lawsuits now. Okay, so all the Republican groups need to start filing lawsuits, challenging this. The Social Security Administration needs to be sued for their data. The state of Texas, hey, this could be a lie. Secretary of State could be lying. For all we know.
This is unprecedented, man. And there been like, what do you do here? We just talk about it, raise awareness.
Well, as I mentioned, it is only conservatives that keep this country in existence. It's like that episode of The Simpsons where the advertisements all come to life. Just don't look. If everyone just stopped looking at the advertisements, they'd cease to exist. But conservatives genuinely believe in the power structures of this country. And again, I'm joking. I'm saying this is actually a good thing because they want to save it. They want to make America great. They want to fix it. They want to get Trump elected. They want to bring in people who are going to weed out the corruption. Unfortunately, right now, the people in government are the enclave. They are beholden to no one. They are accountable to no one. They lie, they cheat, they steal. They are criminals. And Trump supporters just go, well, they're in charge.
Because they don't want to fight. Nobody wants to do that right now. I mean, most people, I don't think they don't want to fight. They want a peaceful society. It's a terrible idea.
That's
to
right.
think that you would ever have to be pushed into that, man. I don't want to fight.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.